Hello everyone and welcome back to my Patreon. In this video we're going to be talking about the total market cap chart excluding the top 10 coins, and we're going to be discussing the Bitcoin dominance chart because those go hand in hand. I'm not a financial advisor. You should do your own research before investing money into crypto. So this is the total crypto market cap excluding the top 10 coins on the monthly, and the yellow arrows below are points where the alt season had begun at that point in time. So here the initial alt season we had was from January 2017 all the way up to well, you could count this here, January 2018, but the dominance did go up slightly after that. But if you take a look at the prices, some coins did end up rallying after that slightly, but overall the alt season lasted around a year. So that was the point where the alt season ended. Okay. After that, we had a drop. We printed this bear market bottom in around September 2019 for the dominance here. And then we started rallying once again into January 2022. So that was our essentially cycle peak for the alt season. And of course, you should have been taking profits along the way up. Now we have come back down. We printed a bottom over here in June 2023. We went up, we ran into the exact same white resistance trend line that we did back in December 2021. And now we're seeing another retracement. Now, as you can see, these two retracements in July, June 2023 and the one we're having right now are lining up on the golden ratio. So the 0.618 at 8%, approximately 8%, is a strong support that has held us before. And the fib that I've got here is from the top in January 2022 to the bottom in September, August 2019. So this is set up as a fib with targets to the downside, so we can see how low we can retrace down to. And the golden ratio here is the most important level for us to hold, and that's exactly what we held back in 2023. That's exactly what we're doing right now. You can also notice this ascending blue support block over here. We've been retesting it ever since August 2019, then once again in January 2021, then once again in July 2023, then once again in August 2024. From there we had a move to the upside, and then December 2024 we weren't able to break above that and we dropped. So the important thing for us at the moment is to hold 8%. Worst case scenario, if we have another massive altcoin drop, we could potentially drop to 6.3%, which is this low from December 2020. But I really do not want to be losing the golden ratio, okay? That's an extremely important level. So let me remove that fib, and now let's take a look at the previous cycles and where they have taken us. So we can add the Fibonacci retracement here from the bottom in November 2015 to the top in October 2024. These are not really significant because this was way before where we didn't have the altcoin market that we have right now, so you can't really use this. What we can do is we can maybe set up this fib here from the bottom in December 2016 to the top in July 2016. So here we got to the 1.618 from this fractal. Once we broke past the 5% mark, we managed to rally all the way up to the 10.8% mark, which was the 1.618. So the blue line there is the 1.618. So the 1.618 was met. Now let's take the next bottom here in August 2019 and let's move it up to the previous local top. So that was the May 2018 top. And in the next bull market, the altcoin market cap excluding the top 10 got all the way up to the 1.414. That's 18.6% roughly. Okay, if you want to be very accurate about the percentages, that's around 19.4%. But the target that we had was the 1.414. So we can notice a pattern of diminishing returns. Now, once we apply this next Fibonacci here, okay, let's set up the let's set up this low here from July 2023, even though we are dropping a bit right now, like the dominance has dropped even below the previous bear market bottom. So let's move it down a little, assuming this is our current bottom here at around 8%, which is the golden ratio of the fib that I showed you earlier. Assuming that is the bottom, we can see that our 1.272 target here is potentially going to be our cycle peak for the altcoin market, because every time this fib, on the fib, we don't reach the level we have reached before. So in 2018, we got to the 1.618 and even a little bit higher than that. In the cycle after that, we got to the 1.414, which is a level below the 1.618. And now in this next cycle that we're in right now, we're potentially only going to get to the 1.272. Okay. And again, that's a more bullish scenario. From the current level, that would be an increase of 222%. Okay, so the entire crypto altcoin market outside the top 10 would go up by 200+%, which is crazy. Now let's assume we only get to the previous all-time high from January 2022. That would be an increase of 156%, which in my opinion is still a significant move. Like, you're gonna have a lot of altcoins that are performing extremely well during this potential rally that we're going to have. The first sign that would tell me that we're entering this rally would be a break of this white descending resistance trend line, okay? So a break of that would be an extremely bullish sign, especially if the break is going to be very significant, okay? So if the break is going to be strong, swift in one move, and it might take us a few months to get to those levels, right? Might take us a little bit longer, but you can see the altcoin market has these periods of time where you have successive months of extreme greed, where people are buying in, everything is pumping, and you have to be taking profits during those periods. We had one over here, and then a second half over here. So once we get, maybe it's going to play out in two periods again, because here you can see you had 1, 2, top. Here you had 1, 2, top. So it could be a similar scenario here. You could start pumping from here, 2, and then that's your top, or it could be 1, 2, top. So you have to be careful here. You don't want to hold out a lot of your altcoins until the next bear market. That's very important. So this is the others dominance chart. Like I said, bullish scenario is 25% dominance. Moderate scenario, conservative scenario would be around 19.5%, which is the previous all-time high. Now let's switch over to the Bitcoin dominance chart and let's see what's going on here. So this is the monthly. The vertical lines are highlighting the points in time where the Bitcoin dominance started dropping, and this obviously signifies an alt season, because every time the Bitcoin dominance drops, that doesn't necessarily mean the price of Bitcoin is dropping, but the market share of Bitcoin is dropping. So when the altcoins are gaining market share, that means they're going to be pumping. And this has happened once in February 2017 and then once again in January 2021. So 4 years apart, or 4 years or so. And we still haven't had that similar kind of drop that we had in the previous cycles. And that's exactly what we're waiting for here. If we pull up the RSI on the monthly for the Bitcoin dominance chart, you can see we have this ascending blue resistance block. We've been hitting it since 2015, and every time you run into it, you have some sort of a retracement. When it's a bear market, the retracement is more significant. When it's a mid-bull market correction, the correction is not as bad. It goes down by halfway of the subsequent bear market correction. So these 2 points over here, as you can see, this is the July 2019 point where the dominance started dropping. We had a rally after that. And this is the December 2020 point where the Bitcoin dominance started dropping. We had the massive alt season there. And this, of course, over here was the alt season that we started getting in 2016, at the end of 2016. Okay, so every time we have an alt season, the dominance of Bitcoin has to go down. And potentially when we're entering this block this time around in 2025, we're going to see a massive crash, and we're going to see an alt season. Okay, we don't know if the alt season is going to be as crazy as the alt season in 2021 or even the one in 2017. It's probably going to be moderate. Diminishing returns is a massive factor that you have to count in, and don't expect all of your altcoins to get up to the prices that you wrote down on a piece of paper. That's not how the markets work, but it's still important to have targets. So this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. I can also show you the Bitcoin dominance chart that I've got set up over here. And by the way, the reason I'm showing you this Bitcoin dominance chart is to highlight the points of contact here. So when you take a look at these points, these local tops on the Bitcoin dominance RSI on the monthly, and you compare that to the dominance of the total except 10, right? The total market cap excluding the top 10, you can see how they align very nicely. So this is the December 2016 bottom for the altcoins, and then you go to the Bitcoin chart and you can see this is the local top for the Bitcoin dominance. Same thing, you take a look at July 2019 local top, and then you go over here. This is the bottom for the altcoins in 2019. You go to the next local top of Bitcoin, December 2020. You take a look at this bottom here, December 2020, January 2021 is when the altcoin season starts. And this is potentially what we're going to see over here. This is playing out picture perfect. It is potentially getting extended, right? We don't know what's going to happen. My expectation was that we're going to print a bull market top in the first half of 2025. Technically, we're still we still are able to do that, but everyone is expecting another massive rally in 2025 in the second half of the year, and I am a part of that group, unless something drastic happens and something changes significantly in the macro space. Now, if we take a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart that I have set up over here, this is a slightly different chart with a different drawing, but this is something that I've been showing during my live streams a lot. And this is the monthly Bitcoin dominance chart. And the reason I had this set up the way it is set up, if I go to, let's say, the weekly here, is if you take a look at this 63.9% level. So this was the previous support from February 2020. This is where we got rejected when we were correcting, and we bounced up, printed a lower high, and then we crashed down below. So this point I thought was going to be our local top for the Bitcoin dominance before we enter that alt season. And it very well may be the case. I was not very optimistic about getting up to these levels between 69 to 73%. At this point in time, everything seems possible. So maybe we do rally all the way up to this resistance block, this massive resistance block that we've rallied into back in 2017, 2019, 2021, and now maybe again in 2025. And then we get our alt season from there, right? We have that massive crash for there, just like the one that we had over here, just like the one that we had over here. So this is what I'm looking at, and potentially the bottom for the Bitcoin dominance would be around 44%, maybe around 47% if you want to target this smaller support block. So that's pretty much the breakdown for the dominance. Things are looking like they're going to, take us into the direction of another alt season. And the expectation is that the AI coins are going to explode. That is my expectation as well. Hopefully things will play out the way we're expecting them to play out. But guys, I can't stress this enough. You have to be taking profits, okay? And this, of course, is not financial advice. Also on the total crypto market cap, excluding top 10, on the RSI specifically, you can see we are in this massive falling wedge pattern. So at some point, it's possible we're going to see a breakout. And that is obviously a good thing if the breakout is going to be to the upside. So we might have a few more bounces here, but then we're going to have a massive breakout, potentially taking us into an alt season towards the end of 2025. We'll see how it plays out. Keep in mind the fib that I showed you at the beginning of the video with the golden ratio being set up right at around 8%. As long as we hold this low, we should be good for continuation here, and watch out for that white resistance trend line. You might want to take some profits off of your altcoins when we do run into that level and potentially get rejected from there a third time. Let me know what are your thoughts on this whole situation. Thank you all for watching. Stay safe and goodbye.